Hello, everyone. We're back to studying some more CAD, AutoCAD techniques and things like that, and some skills for taking the certification test. In this particular video, you're going to learn how to do hatches and gradients, and they're really a lot easier than they look. Of course, on my screen, you can see I have one gradient already, and I'll be showing you how to do that. And of course doing some hatching as well. And what these are for primarily is for, just adding a little texture to your AutoCAD drawings, or maybe even adding material representations. Some of the hatchings, they look like there's certain hatchings that represent wood, some that represent concrete, some that represent all different types of materials and all different states of those materials, and then of course some that are just for pretty much for looks. Okay, so in using hatches and gradients, let's go to that tool on our ribbon, which is over in the draw panel. I'll zoom in for you, and it's right here. Okay, currently gradient is selected, but we're going to select hatch. Okay, so hatching, any of these patterns can work for whatever you want them to work for. There are some that look like bricks. There are some like this one. It is specifically for concrete, but you can use it on other things as well. And let's say I want to use this pattern. It's called the herringbone pattern. And I want to use that pattern on my coffee table. Okay, so here's my coffee table. I'm going to put that pattern right there on top of it. All right, so now there's the hatch. Pretty simple. There's lots of things I could do with that hatch. I can actually change the pattern from that hatch pattern to a gradient. Usually if you hover over them, it'll change, and then to a solid color. So there's gradient, and then there's solid. But let's play around with the pattern. On that pattern, I can color it by layer, or I can just pick another color for it. Let's say maybe this orange color. And this is also the color for the lines, I think. Is that right? Or is that fill? No, this one should be fill. Let's see what this does. Yes, this right here is fill. This one above it was lines, the orange one. This one is fill, the one below it. Okay, so we have the orange lines. Let's say we kind of fill it with sort of a little bit brighter orange. Okay, so then we have this table with a pattern and a color to it. Okay, we may also want to place some sort of gradient on something. Let's see, such as this table, but I'll show you on a different object. I'm going to show you on the couch. Of course, we would never really put a gradient on a couch per se, but let's just see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to change from pattern. Now I can also go back out front and select the gradient tool, but I can just change it right in here, so it's no use doing that. So I'll change it to gradient. Oops, it got my table. I wanted to keep that table just like it was. Okay, so I have to deactivate it and make sure. Okay, well, here we go. So here we can click on gradient, and we can pick a color. Okay, so let's we want the table to match the couch, so I'm going to pick this rather burnt type of orange, and I'm going to put it right there in the cushion. Okay, I might even put it in all three cushions. Okay, so looking at that, of course I can do different types. I can do circular gradient, kind of a curved top gradient. Here's another circle gradient that's kind of inverse from this one over here. And then of course we have these linear types of gradients as well. Okay, let's go with this one. All right, so we have that burnt orange. It's kind of like in the center of our gradient. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to change to this lighter orange. And now it kind of looks more like it's a single color that may be affected by the angle and the light and things like that. There's other things that I can edit with regards to that. I can edit the transparency. I can reduce the amount of transparency, or add to the amount of transparency. So if I do this, you can watch that sofa and see how that transparency works. I can also change the angle, and this works with any hatch pattern or gradient. Right now I have a linear that really just kind of goes up and down vertically, but I can change that angle around, and as you can see, it also sort of changes the gradient inside of that sofa. Probably not so obvious, say if I chose my pattern for my table and I change the angle on that one. Now you can start to see, a lot more change taking place. And you can also change the scale of your gradient. You can use these little buttons at the very end, or you can just type in a number. Sometimes using the button, you kind of get a live preview what it's going to look like. We can make that pattern a little bit smaller inside the table. And there we go. We may want to, let's do some concrete. There's concrete. Let's go over to our garage. And of course our garage needs concrete. So we'll place it in there. And actually, let's click on it again. And we're going to change the scale. We're going to leave the same. We're going to change the color. And we're going to make it more of, just a white or grayish color or something like that. Okay, now there we have concrete on our garage floor like we normally would. Okay, so that's basically how you use hatches and gradients. Stay tuned for the next video, and I will show you some things. Let's see, about altering a lot of different things from the properties panel, which you've already done some of that, and we'll just kind of go over that again.